What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. I'm your friendly neighborhood Dungeon Master. Do you have extra Hirst Arts pieces laying around and you want to make something from them? Well, congrats, you're not bound to the designs that they have on the website. I'm going to show you something that you can make on the side with some leftovers. Stick around. It is the busy season at my job and I've had not much time to craft, so I've been spreading out my craft significantly over the span of weeks, and what little time I did have to craft was put into doing small things for my Frostgrave game that I was working on. However, a few weeks ago when I made the Hirst Arts tower that I displayed here on the channel, I had a ton of pieces left over, as well as some side casts that I had made along the way. Now what I did was I took those pieces and I just made a layout. I laid them out on the table, I put them on a piece of MDF, and I see what I could make out of it. And since Frostgrave was a ruin, I didn't feel compelled to make a large full building, but what I did was make a nice floor plan and put the pieces together in a way that was pleasing. And what I came up with was the Chapel of the Bleeding Heart, which is a variation on a name that someone in the Tabletop Crafters Guild dubbed it, the Chapel of the, I forgot, the Chapel of the Burning Heart or something like that. But it was a really cool name, and I thought, well, what if I tweaked it just a little bit? And I got to thinking, well, it came out accidentally, kind of shaped like a heart. I didn't intend it. It was one of those, you know, a Bob Ross happy accident. But I also got my hands on some red Sculpey and decided to try my hand at sculpting a anatomically correct heart in a very large scale, which I would then add to the chapel. So I wanted to put this all together and kind of show it to you what it was like on the table. Now, I did not get any video footage of me actually building the chapel because I had never intended for it to be featured as a video. It was just something I kind of did on the side for myself. So I do not have an instructional of how I put this together, and I don't even have any footage of me painting it. It was really just a simple paint scheme, some brown, some black, some white, and that's pretty much it. I didn't even really do a gray tone and not much of a dry brush to it. Glued it all together with PVA glue and used just basing glue and dirt. I just kind of did it old school. I didn't use my texture paste or anything like that, and it came out so nice. I really like how it came out. I'm not even gonna do any snow on it. I'm not gonna do any flock. I'm just gonna leave it just like this. But I'm going to add the heart to the corner, and that's what this week's video is. I'm gonna show you guys putting the heart into it. Stick around and we'll see what we can come up with. Now, I went to Michael's, and while I was there, I picked up the red Sculpey that I used to make my my heart. Now, the heart was sculpted with red Sculpey. I just used a picture online that I could see, you know, the whole anatomy of the heart, you know, 360 view of it, and it's more or less correct. It's missing probably some pieces, but it kind of, you know what it is, you know what it's supposed to be. But then I painted it in a layer of matte Mod Podge. It's got a little something stuck to it because it didn't dry completely. A layer of matte Mod Podge, followed by a wash with Citadel Druchii Violet, so a purple wash, which kind of gave it that veiny blue tint to it, which worked really well. And then I covered it in some Citadel Technical Ard Coat, which protected it and gave it that gloss finish. So what I want to do now, I had mounted it also on this toothpick so that I could manipulate it and paint it. So what I want to do now is find a way in this in the pulpit area over here, or what I'm considering the pulpit of the chapel, to suspend the heart kind of mid-air via some chains or some such, to kind of have it be the focal point of the Chapel of the Bleeding Heart. And since we've got this big heart here, there's going to be blood. And I can't wait because I love messing with blood. So we're going to take some chains that I got from Michael's, this jewelry chain. It's kind of a straight link. It's not, doesn't look like jewelry chain. It looks like scale model chain. And what I did was I super glued it into the card that it came on, spray painted it black, and then dry brushed it with an orange to give it a rusty, dark color. And it worked out all right. And some of it even got a little stiff, which is nice. So I'm going to use this to suspend the heart in the church. So let's see how we can connect this to that and get the pieces all set. So I'm going to attempt to use some CA glue to affix the chains to the heart. I don't really need the toothpick to hold it onto it anymore now that it's dry. I'm thinking I'm going to do a couple of wraps with chain around the heart and then use chain to suspend the heart as well. I'm going to kind of start down here on the bottom where you're not going to see much of it. And this is going to be tricky because the CA glue is going to not dry right away. So I'm going to take my time with this. I'll tack it every so often in a different spot just to make sure it stays. Okay, that's one length of chain. Going around it. So far so good. I got the shorter chains wrapped around. Now I'm going to start wrapping the larger chains around it, like kind of halfway, and then use them to connect to the church, to the chapel, I mean, excuse me. Alright, now we have a lot of chain wrapped around this bad boy. Let's see if we can't get it situated inside our chapel. Now I ended up with a slight amount of frosting on some of the spots that I glued. Actually, it's kind of a heavy frosting. I'm going to try to cover that up with some blood. Some blood for the blood god, and see if I can't cover that up. Yeah, that'll be perfect. I'll hide that well. Now I'm going to try to suspend the heart inside here, which is not going to be easy, I have a feeling. So this might take a little bit of finesse. In fact, I'm going to use some PVA glue to hold it in place, which is going to take a little bit longer to dry, but I think it'll look nicer in the end because it'll dry clear. And I can manipulate it a little bit easier than the CA glue. And I think it might even be a little stronger in the long run, but we'll see. That's a lot better. Put it right there. Well, I'm going to attempt to make stakes using toothpicks. I'm not sure how well it's going to work, but I'm going to glue them in and then glue the chain to them. And I think that'll give it a little bit more stability and the illusion of something cool kind of on the outside here, a little bit more of an obstacle. I just got to cut me some. I need 4 of them. I'll make them nice and exaggerated. What I'm going to do is use my pin vise to drill holes where they're going to go. But I'm not going to drill large holes. I'm going to try to drill holes that are small enough that I have to use some force to put them in, because I think that will make them a little bit more stable. And I'm just going to come in kind of out here, follow the natural line of where it wants to go, and then just put them in. Right, like that. And then I'll glue them in and glue the chain to them. This one may not reach. So I don't know if I'm gonna do this one. Or make that one look like it snapped. How's that for an idea? This chain right here, I didn't make quite long enough so it won't reach, so I'm going to take this little scrap piece and glue it to the stake to make it look like it broke. Just take a small piece and wrap it around here. Alright, so here's a neat little trick that I learned for doing blood splatter. I've got a coffee stirrer. You can use a paintbrush or something. I'm just going to use a coffee stirrer because it's easier. And you get it loaded up with some blood. In this case, I'm using blood for the blood god. I've got my airbrush here, and I've got the pressure turned up a little bit. I've got it turned to about 40-45 psi. Not too much. I don't know if the hose that I have with it, I don't know what the limit is. So now what I want to do is I want to hold this stick in between me and what I'm spraying, and I'm going to get blood splatter everywhere on the inside here. And I'm not really going to be able to get a good angle on the actual spray. I can get a little closer here and you guys can kind of see it. But I'll show you more or less how it looks after it's done, but you can see the technique here in action. Thanks for tuning in for this video, guys. I know this was a fairly simple build without much detail going into how I actually constructed the piece. It was just thrown together haphazardly. I just put pieces together until something looked okay, and I experimented a little, and I had like 5 or 6 different molds of Hirst arts going all at the same time. When I was making the tower, I was taking the excess and just pouring it into random molds until I got extra pieces, and most of the tower pieces that you see repeating in this video were leftovers from that, from making the tower. So just making one big project yielded me actually 2 big projects without even trying, and then making the base and everything. You've seen me do that stuff on the channel plenty times. So, you know, it's not really a big thing not to go into it. However, I do lament not being able to show you guys putting together the building and all that stuff, and the flocking and all that. But doing the heart was something that I was inspired by from the community, and I've just got my Facebook account back after a 10-year hiatus from the site, and one of the first things that I did was join the Tabletop Crafters Guild, which is something that I've been wanting to do since I started doing the channel last year, actually, since I started following Black Magic Craft back in 2017. And being kind of deep into the game of Frostgrave, ruins are a theme. It makes it easier to come up with ideas for terrain. It makes it easier to come up with concepts for placement on the table. The chapel is a little bit large for my taste, but as you see in the footage that I just showed, the mausoleum is rather large as well, sitting there. So it all depends on how you want your board set up. I do a 3x3. That's Frostgrave. The book recommends that for a quick game, and a 4x4 for a large game, and you go even bigger. This is just the space that I have is for a 3x3. So the terrain and space is at a premium for me. Having a larger piece, I don't really necessarily need one, but I really like this chapel. I was kind of on the fence about it until I saw it completed. And now with the chains on and the blood splatter and everything there, it just looks really cool. I couldn't think of anything to do outside, and I didn't want to cover it in snow on this piece because I wanted to be able to use it for Dungeons and Dragons and not have it be covered in snow. So while some of the other ruins that I have are covered in snow, it's obviously Frostgrave stuff, so I'm just gonna keep those separate from this piece and then use this piece how I feel would come up necessarily in, you know, a Dungeons and Dragons game, or again Frostgrave, or if I were to do like an Age of Sigmar or something like that further on down the line. Now I have a nice little piece that I can use, and I'm really excited about it. It looks really cool. So if you guys like what you see here on the channel and elsewhere by my posts, please leave a like, subscribe, all that. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. I've been your friendly neighborhood Dungeon Mattster, and until next time, peace.